But now our next guest got his start as a dying boy on an episode of Medical Center. But you probably remember him as Keith Partridge. Yep, David Cassidy. Come on out.
Come on down. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Start by just saying, first of all, that when I heard that you were going to be on the show today, I was a little bit nervous because
You were.
Oh, you were not. You've done this a million times. But my sister and I used to both have the biggest crushes on you, and we would stand there in front of the mirror and, like, trying to make our hair go up like the way yours did. It doesn't. It still kind of
doesn't go up much anymore, yeah.
No, it doesn't. But anyway, you must have known that a lot of girls felt the way that we did. How did that make you feel, knowing that?
Honestly, intimidated.
You were intimidated by us?
Yeah. Well, you know what it was? For me, it became, it was very difficult for me to live up to that image and to all of that hype and media and the marketing and the merchandising and the public persona that became David Cassidy.
So the public persona was not really what was going on inside. It was two different things.
Not at all. And that's the most difficult thing for me became the pressure of trying to live up to that and to feel like somehow or another you're not really worthy of all that adulation. And there was a voice inside that said, if they really knew me, I wonder if they'd feel that way. You know?
So how did you deal with that? Because you were quite young also when all this stuff was going on, right? When it started anyway.
Well, when it started, I was 19, yeah. So I became more and more of a recluse. I became somebody who was forced to... I listened to their stories about being fans, and I have to tell you, I wish I had fans like you.
What were your
fans like? The kind of fans that... well, in more ways than one. What I meant to say was...
I'll hook you two up after the show, maybe. I don't know.
I had people who actually... They moved in with me. They would come in and... I had people move to Los Angeles to meet me. I had people sleeping in my yard, in my air conditioning unit. The kind of commitment to being a fan, the word fan comes from fanatic. You guys, I mean, I'm sure you like your artists, but the kind of fans I'm talking about was crazy.
Did they ever do anything that was destructive, either to themselves or to you, or?
Oh, yeah.
What kinds of stuff?
Well, when I played the Garden, when I played Madison Square Garden, they destroyed 5 limos. And it was, you know, the kind of hysteria that doesn't really exist now. I think the fact that it was still kind of, stars were still removed. I think people are much more sophisticated now. And yeah, there was real, genuine hysteria about it. I think because of the age, and I think because stars were not as accessible through the media, through MTV, through VH1. You were on television, I think because of all of the posters and the lunchboxes and all of that
I had them all. I know all about all of them, yeah. I did have your lunchbox.
Well, I think that because of that, we became sort of untouchable, you know.
Mm-hmm. But there must have been good stuff, because I think that's part of the reason you probably got into it. There's obviously a good side to being a celebrity, too. Tell us about that.
Well, you always get a good table at a restaurant, you know.
That's good.
Yeah, that's it. No.
No. What about the girls and stuff? Did you...
Well, it's a double-edged sword, because without them, baby, you're pumping gas. And the problem I always had was people would talk about me, and especially the press and the media would talk about me and say, David flees from his fans, and he's become this. It almost became self-perpetuating. Because of the age of the fans, between, 7 and 15, 16 for the most part, people are out of control with their emotions at that age, especially females. Mm-hmm. They don't quite know how to deal with it. Yeah. Tell me a little more about this.
No. I'm here to listen to you. No. I know what you mean.
Well, it's very hard to try and deal with somebody who is out of control with their emotions. When you said you couldn't speak to him, it becomes very uncomfortable for the person who is the focal point of that, and a lot of it's projected sexuality. Maybe it wasn't for you, but a lot of it, even though it was innocent, and we're talking about, you know, adolescence or pre-adolescence, we're still talking about overt sexuality. And sometimes the way they deal with their emotions when they're out of control is they laugh, they scream, they cry. When you stand at the focal point of 40,000 people screaming that they love you, man, that is some powerful
And when you hear
stuff.
I love you from someone who doesn't even know you,
Right.
does that make you distrust anytime you hear I love you, or does it?
It has a tendency to make you withdraw, yeah. Distrust, but also there's a sense of, I don't feel, if you really knew me, if you really understood who I was, and I know that through your fantasy, the fantasy of it, I don't want to ruin it for you. I don't want to blow it. I don't want to disappoint you. But at the same time, I got to tell you, that ain't me.
So in a certain way, while what they're doing should be building up your self-esteem, in a certain way it's eroding it.
Well, you know, it's interesting. I'm in the process right now of writing a book, and today, in fact, I was working, talking about this the phenomena of it. When it got to a point where, in order to reach you, there's so many people trying to reach you, it became impossible, and you constantly keep having to put another layer to insulate yourself from it. And the dilemma that I was in was I was feeling more and more removed, and yet I wanted to be more and more like a real guy. And it's very, very difficult. I didn't want people to see me because I didn't want to have to go through the explanation of saying, look, I'm really not that guy, and this is who I really am.
Right. And speaking of that, I know you also have an album out now called "Didn't You Used to Be David Cassidy," which I think is very funny.
Yeah.
Did you come up with that?
Yeah, I did.
I think that speaks to that really well.
Well, thank you. I try and, everything I do now, I try and give people a little insight into my own take on it, that I never took myself that seriously, and if I had any advice at all, it probably would be to say to anybody who's going into this, you better just realize that it might be short-lived and that you really are just like everybody else.
Yeah, I know that you still have a ton of fans out there, and some of them are in the audience. You're a huge fan, am I right?
Yes.
How long have you been a fan of his?
23 years.
23 years.
23 years?
Gee, I guess I can't get away with saying I'm 25, huh?
Is that a record? That might be a record. Have you ever met him before? Or?
A couple times when he came to Boston.
How did you get, at age 5, how did you get into this? Did you just watch him on TV or whatever?
The first time I saw him on the Partridge Family, I knew he was going to be my favorite performer.
And what did you do to like get near him? Did you ever travel to go see shows or whatever?
I tried to go wherever he was, wherever I could afford to go.
I actually took her with me in a trunk.
Now, and what about, but I was getting at where this came from. Is the rest of your family also into, I heard that your mom might also be.
My mother and my sister.
Who happens to be in our audience. That's what I was getting to there. Stand up. You're also...
He was like part of our family.
Did you know you were like part of their family? Now, well, now you know. Meet your new mom.
I love you.
Your new sister.
Mom.
Here's my daughter, Connie.
Okay. Thank you so much. And I'd like to thank David Cassidy for being here, too. Thank you so much for being here. He's got to run, catch a plane. But when we come back, we're going to hear about guy fans from a girl celebrity. We'll be right back.